Dr. Sergei Sumleni is a defense expert and director, European Resilience Initiative Center. He's now joining us live on this broadcast. Dr. Sumleni, good to see you and thank you very much for making time for us. Do you think that this summit in Europe or in London will have any effects and could change the narrative or the geopolitical narrative going forward?
Oh, thank you for having invited me today. A huge honor, as always, being your guest on your show. Well, the summit at least demonstrates that people understand that the topic is here, that they need to develop new strategies, new defense strategies, security strategies, and security approach. The role of the United States is I would politely say is reducing, but some say disappearing with rapidly velocity and with really scaring tempo. So other nations must decide how can we protect ourselves from hostile countries like Russia or in potential China, for example, not talking about like other threats which exist still like Iran, etc. So we have seen that for way too long, the Western world, NATO, relied on the U.S. protection, including U.S. nuclear shield. And despite all the warnings, like Donald Trump has told it during his first presidency, he doesn't want to continue to invest that much American power into protection of Europe. These warnings have not been heard. Now we are facing reality. I hope very much that the statements of the political leaders, this wake-up call is here. We must decide how to protect ourselves. And these statements will transform into acts. Still, it's really hard to understand how, for example, such constructions like the European Union, which have never been a defensive alliance, much more a trade alliance, economical alliance, how they can transform themselves very rapidly into something more realistic on the field of security and defense.
And we're going to leave and then we can start the meeting. We've agreed that a group of us will work with Ukraine on a plan to stop the fighting.
Well, Dr. Sumleni, sorry for that delay. Now, going forward, you've heard the speeches by Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who says that the West and us cannot be divided. If we are talking about that, now that we see that there are like two camps here, there's a camp where there's the US and Russia, and then there's a camp where there's Zelensky and Europe. Who could be the possible pacifier? Who could be the possible peacemaker between the two camps? Very quickly.
Oh, well, for Prime Minister Meloni, it's a hard task to stand for her security ideas to defeating Russia and being in alliance with all conservative parties like Hungary, also the US with Donald Trump. So she tries to be on both camps. But the problem is we cannot find an agreement with Russia because Russia has many times demonstrated they don't want to have an agreement. They want a capitulation. Trump's so-called peace plan is not a compromise. It's Ukraine capitulation towards Russia. And Russia doesn't want to have only Ukraine. Russia wants to have much more, at least half of Europe. In this constellation, it is hard to find a compromise. That's why it's important to be strong enough to demonstrate Russia you cannot get what you want. Now we need to talk. And that can be reached only when Europe has enough firepower and enough decisiveness to use it.
Mr. or Dr. Sergei Sumleni, thank you very much for all your insights and for talking to us today.
Thank you so much. A huge pleasure for me. Thank you.